Why do we relinquish our power the very moment we express our desires? The Stoics, wise observers of human nature, warned us of the subtle tyrannies we invite upon ourselves. They taught that exposing your desires to the world is akin to intently handing the reins of your well-being to forces beyond your control. Let us unravel this through the quiet echoes of an ancient world where silence bore the weight of galaxies and desires were tamed, not flaunted. Picture a serene morning in Rome, the kind where the sun casts golden reflections over the Tiber, while birds wing their arpeggios through the Roman sky. Enter Lucius, a young melodist whose dream was as vibrant as the morning itself, to captivate the world with the music he composed so carefully in his heart. Lucius believed that by sharing his ardor with patron Aemilius, a wealthy senator renowned for his patronage of the arts, fulfillment would dance into his life like the birds that lifted his gaze. Yet, as the teachings of Epictetus remind us, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. When Lucius approached Aemilius, bearing his hopes and insecurities, he inadvertently handed over his autonomy. He chose a path where every applause, every critique, became cords wrapping around his spirit, tugging him into the spins of others' perceptions. The grand villa was buzzing, the afternoon light slicing through the feast hall where Aemilius held court. Here Lucius timidly expressed his desire, laying his heart bare as if it were a piece of parchment under the scrutiny of the senator's will. In doing so, he allowed each nod, every smile or furrowed brow of his audience to carve his inner landscape. He did not realize that the true melody, the one resonating with infinite beauty, was already within, unfettered by acceptance or rejection. In the days that followed, Lucius felt the tremors of every delayed response, every momentary dismissal. He was like a ship whose anchor lay in others' hands, cast in the tumult of the sea's fancies. The Stoics taught us that virtue comes not from the external applause, but the quiet concord within. Lucius's desire, shared and laid bare, transformed from a soaring aspiration to a craving that now stood at the mercy of externalities. One evening, caught in a storm of self-doubt, Lucius stumbled upon a gathering at the marketplace. An old man, weary with the passage of time yet vibrant with wisdom, held a discourse under the open sky. His presence carried a profound serenity, drawing listeners into his orbit like bees to a blooming garden. It was said he had dined with Marcus Aurelius himself, and his words were heavy with the simplicity of truth. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Lucius listened as the man, his voice a gentle stream, spoke of desires. Desire, he said, is not your enemy. It is the voice of your nature. But listen, not all nature need be shouted to the world. In quietude, hold your desire. Let it be the fire that warms you through life's chilly nights, not the blaze that consumes your precious calm. Desire known is desire controlled. The words washed over Lucius, sparking a glimmer of revelation. He realized his journey was not about demanding the world recognize his song, it was about mastering the symphony within. That night, under a canopy of stars, he resolved to compose for the love of creation itself, not for the laurels of recognition. He vowed to build a life where fulfillment was self-born, not borrowed from transient applause. Lucius adopted the habit of a small ritual each morning. Upon waking, he would meditate on a single principle from Stoic philosophy, memento mori, the reminder of mortality. It whispered to him the fleeting nature of all things. Accept the transient, it entreated, and let this be your freedom. It reminded him that time, much like unexpressed desire, can build the most resilient of inner strengths. As seasons turned, Lucius's music evolved into a reflection of his self-discovery. The notes he played began to transcend the walls of any concert hall, resounding in the quiet spaces of listeners' minds long after the strings had stilled. He held his desires quietly yet fiercely, never allowing them to be defined by fleeting externalities. His joy was born from pure creation, untouched by the caprices of societal valuators. Then came the day when the Senate, in their wisdom, recognized the quiet brilliance in Lucius's craft. They sought him, for his fame had grown like a songbird's call in the silent forest. But by then, Lucius was impervious to the allure. He had learned that power is not in rejecting desire, but in commanding it from within, much like a captain who uses the wind not to lose course, but to find it. Reflecting on his journey, Lucius often pondered the teachings of Seneca, who once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality," a truth that Lucius had come to embody. The young melodist realized the heart of suffering lay not in unfulfilled desires, but in those desires expressed, leaving oneself vulnerable to manipulation, like an open book in merciless hands. In the stillness of his now unshakable mindset, Lucius found what the Stoics called amor fati, the love of one's fate. It resonated within him as he embraced both the silence and the song, both hemispheres forming the world he would journey through. Acceptance, not conquest, of the fate determined by his inner compass brought him peace, revealing life's true opus in the simple act of existence. Today, when you contemplate expressing what burns within your heart, ask yourself, are you seeking validation from without, or is it the sincere whisper of your soul desiring to elevate itself? Remember the core of Stoic wisdom. Master yourself. Let not the world master your wants. For in silent strength, in desires kindled quietly within, lies the truest power, the purest freedom. To live a full life, one must learn the poignant art of cherishing desires without surrendering their sanctity to the judgment winds of the world. In Lucius's journey, we unearth a lesson: desire, in its quiet opacity, begets resilience. This was the melody Lucius left behind, not one of clamor or desperation, but the serene sonata of a soul that has mastered its own orbit.